time ago. Don't remind me of that. Jesus. Okay, great. James, thank you for firstly inviting me. I was trying to convince myself while I was sitting there that everybody's come because of the profile of the speakers, but then I'm looking at the free beer and the pizza boxes and I realised actually why you're all here. But so I'm director of OKRA. We are an AI company, machine learning company. We've been working with life sciences and only life sciences now for about 4 years, deploying and operationalising AI systems, essentially. I will get into the technicalities of all of that and show you a demonstration, a live demo. Hopefully it will work later on. But my slides are not as sexy as Dan's, unfortunately. What I'm going to talk to you about really is about 1,500 conversations that I've had with life science execs about AI, and I'm trying to summarize that into 20 minutes and then show you a demo of a product that we have deployed that is being used by reps today. I'll also note that we became a Viva technology partner last week, so although I won't show a sexy Viva system, it will be an OKRA system, but it can be deployed in both mechanisms. But before I get into that, I think it's important for you to know how I got here, actually. At the age of 6, I was diagnosed with a severe chronic illness. It's something I've lived with up until this day today. It's severe asthma. Unlike Matthew, who unfortunately is no longer with us, I am a very keen sportsman, right? I run, I jog, I box, but without alert, without a signal, without any flag, I could suffer cardiac arrest. It's something I live with. I've been in and out of hospital since the age of 6. I've been on medication, very strong medication, since the age of 6. Even today, I take my medication twice daily. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because in 2013, I had a child, a baby boy. He's now 6 years old, the same age I was when I was diagnosed with my illness. And I don't want him to suffer perhaps the way I did, right? So I started looking at AI tools when he turned about 4 years old, and I found this tool that was connected to all the data, weather data, allergy data, pollution data, and it could signal when something catastrophic was about to happen. And it was at that moment that I realized that I needed to change my career. I'd worked at Merck, I'd worked at IQVIA, I'd worked at Becton Dickinson, I'd done all that, but for me the future was in AI, and that was the jump I took. I didn't join Netflix, you'll be glad to know, but it was in 2017 I had my light bulb moment, and my light bulb moment came in a very simple way. I'd been watching Breaking Bad and Narcos, and I started researching the algorithms behind Netflix. I started looking at how they serve content to people, the ratings and the percentage of likelihood that you're going to watch something. And I was fascinated that I was already using a system which was humanizing AI outputs to me without me even knowing. But then something crazy happened. This happened. I was recommended Peppa Pig, Barbie, and Pokemon because I had watched Narcos. All of a sudden I started thinking about the industry that I'm in, the AI noise that I'm hearing, the outputs of AI. How the hell are we going to get people to adopt this if we can't explain where those outputs come from? Here I am watching Netflix, something very simple, and I'm getting this ridiculous idea that Narcos is the reason why Peppa Pig's coming. But in an industry that lives and breathes on evidence-based medicine, we're going to just change the rules for AI? Fast forward to today, I've been at OKRA for 3.5 years, had numerous conversations, as I said. This is where I'm at right now. So for me, AI will only help us drive outcomes if the outputs are actionable. So I look at Netflix again as the example. I can do something, I can pick a new movie, I can go and watch it. But to take action in our industry, you need to be empowered, and that can only be done, in my opinion, and these are my opinions, if the AI outputs are explainable, i.e. there is a reason behind why we're telling you that this is the next best action. Because for me, James, I know you use the word next best action. I dislike that as a phrase. I think there are a set of actions, because sometimes there isn't a next best action, unfortunately, as a rep. And 20 years ago, I used to use about 8 dashboards. I went to a top 20 pharma company 3 weeks ago. Their reps were using 12 dashboards. So to say there's been progression, I'm not entirely sure. How do we get there? I think the first thing I want to say and want to stress is that for me, AI is not just a data science project, but I haven't brought any of our data science with us today, just at the backlash that I might have got from saying that. 90% of our workforce are data scientists and of course engineers, but my point being, you probably hear a lot of people stand up and say, there's a business question, there's data, there's algorithms, there's insight, there's deployment. Yes, that's all true. But at no point in any of that have I heard, who are you creating this for? Who is the user? The user for us in the demonstration, I will tell you, is the rep, and it's great to know that you guys did a very big kind of focus group. We spoke to about over 100 reps before we even touched a design or even went to what the outputs that you would like to have from an AI system. But I think to operationalize it, we have to move on from these one-off studies that we love to do in our industry and then shelve them. We need to move and think how these things are going to actively make a difference and empower people. So successful deployment of AI for me, before I go on to the demo, is first, we need to humanize the outputs, right? They need to be easily navigated and understood by users. So this kind of touches on the previous presentation about UX, but I think more than UX, when you look at data and you look at the points within data, the anomalies, things that are leading to outcomes, how do we take that into language that a rep would understand, for example? Secondly, explainability. AI outputs, for me, must have explanation. This, for me, is not a nice to have. This is a fundamental of successful adoption in our industry. I think if we go down the route where explainability is not part of the output, we're going to fail. OKRA spent since 2007 building an explainability engine, so nearly now 12 years. It combines causality and correlation, and then looks at how you can explain the outputs from AI systems and a suite of algorithms. And whether it's machine learning, deep neural networks, and so on, it doesn't matter. And finally, if we don't empower our users to make decisions, I think we failed. And by empower, I mean, yes, we can give them direction, but ultimately they should choose whether or not that this is or isn't the right thing to do. Kind of deploying these systems and seeing users use them and seeing the different ways in which data comes to us. That example specifically, every month that data is refreshed, right? So we have links, that data comes in, it's refreshed, and you see opportunities change from 5-star to 4-star, 2-star to 3-star. It's very dynamic. About 55% of opportunities every month change. And it's the learnings that you get from that and the refreshes of the data which mean that learnings stay in the system. The quote we had was, it was as smart as a rep who'd been on patch for 5 years. And that was from a group of hospital specialists who trialed the system for 12 months. But the goal at the end of the day, right, is for all pharma is to get their portfolio to the right patient. I think we're all in agreement of that. And as a patient, I've been a patient for 32 years. It's the same for me. But I think the challenge we have is that in each market we go to, right, the data is different. When we try to deploy that system in Germany, for example, we're dealing with a lot less granular data. We're dealing with the Workers' Council, a lobbying group that works in a very different way to what we have in the UK. Although these systems are scalable and you can plug and play, there is still a validation piece, there is still a blind testing piece, there is still a change in mentality that is required, cultural challenges. So it's not as easy as just we come up with a tailored market fit approach to AI. That in an ideal world, that would be the way. But I guess my point is that we all know the product life cycle. There are many different points at which AI are going to have an impact. At OKRA, we have, trial site prediction. We have field medical analytics predicting scientific need for MSLs. We have Salesforce effectiveness, which is the one I showed you, and commercial excellence and so on. But all of these individually will contribute to the overall goal, which is getting the right drug to the right patient, because everybody has a role to play. So to summarize, I think humanizing AI is quite self-explanatory. It's to do with the UX, being able to navigate these outputs easily. Explainability for me is probably the most important because it leads to empowerment. I think if you start to look at AI in any other way other than having reasons attached to them, in my personal view, having seen them, they haven't scaled. And finally, I think if we don't empower our users to make decisions, then we failed to use the power of AI to its full potential. And then that is my sexy slide, which is, I think this is going to be at the core of all modern companies moving forward, which will be, the one we speak about a lot is integrating the data and extracting the relevant features and so on for training of AI, but then I think it's the explainability, the empowerment of teams, and predicting the things that they can actually action, rather than just having a prediction with no explainability attached at the other end. And I think that's it, so thank you. I hope that was useful.